Hare Krishna. It's October 24th, 2021. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, entitled Bhagavatam is the Answer to All Questions. Text 30. Narayanam namaskritya naram charvinarotamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudiraya. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayana, to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, to Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesh vabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavat yutamashloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. I'm here with Malini, Shama Priya, and Vishnu here online. There's Gajendra, Payal, George, Danielle, and Sarasvati, Damayanti, Devin, and Kim. Hare Krishna. Okay, so text 30, chapter 10, canto 2. Nididyaso Atmamayam Hridayam Niravidyata Tata Mana Chandra Iti Sankalpa Kama Eva Cha Niridyasur Atmamayam Hridayam Niravidyata Tato Manas Chandra Iti Sankalpa Kama Eva Cha Niridyasur Atmamayam Hridayam Niravidyata Tato Manas Chandra Iti Sankalpa Kama Eva Cha Niridyasur Atmamayam Hridayam Niravidyata Tato Manas Chandra Iti Sankalpa Kama Eva Cha Niridyasur Atmamayam Hridayam Niravidyata Tato Manas Chandra Iti Sankalpa Kama Eva Cha Niridyasur Atmamayam Hridayam Niravidyata Tato Manas Chandra Iti Sankalpa Kama Eva Cha Niridyasur Atmamayam Hridayam Niravidyata Tato Manas Chandra Iti Sankalpa Kama Eva Cha. Would someone online like to recite the verse? Okay, we'll go to the word for word. Nididyaso. Being desirous to know. Atmamayam. Own energy. Hridayam. The location of the mind. Niravidyata. Was manifested. Tata. Thereafter. Mana. The mind. Chandra. The controlling deity of the mind, the moon. Iti. Thus. Sankalpa, determination, kama, desire, eva, as much as, cha, also. Translation. When there was a desire to think about the activities of his own energy, then the heart, the seat of the mind, the moon, determination, and all desire became manifested. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The heart of every living entity is the seat of the Supersoul, Paramatma, a plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without his presence, the living entity cannot get into the working energy according to his past deeds. The living entities who are conditioned in the material world are manifested in the creation in terms of respective inclinations inherent in them, and the requisite material body is offered to each and every one of them by the material energy under the direction of the Supersoul. This is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 10. When, therefore, the Supersoul is situated in the heart of the conditioned soul, the requisite mind is manifested in the conditioned soul, and he becomes conscious of his occupation as one is conscious of his duty after waking up from slumber. Therefore, the material mind of the living entity develops when the Supersoul sits on his heart, after which the mind, the controlling deity, moon, and then the activities of the mind, namely thinking, feeling, and willing, all take place. The activities of the mind cannot begin without the manifestation of the heart, and the heart becomes manifested when the Lord wants to see the activities of the material creation. Om Jnanatirmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayamrupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Garange Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpati Yubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyeva Cha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, Text 30. Nididhyasur Atmamayam Vidayam Niravidyata Tato Manas Chandra Iti Sankalpa Kama Eva Cha. When there was a desire to think about the activities of his own energy, then the heart, the seat of the mind, the moon, determination, and all desire became manifest. Hare Krishna. One thing we can think, okay, because we're talking about like the essential senses and the seat. So like the sense of vision and the seat is the organ of the eyes. in the sense of hearing, and the seat is the ear. So you're thinking, okay, well, the mind, the seat would be the brain, but that's not what we're getting here, right? So sure, because one function of the mind is described here is thinking. So the thinking could be manifested through the organ of the brain, but the seat of the mind is the heart. The seat of the mind is the heart. So we get this from Bhagavatam. And so this verse and purport is about Paramatma, Supersoul, in so many respects. So this is God. This is God, I'll call it, in the ordinary common sense. In the ordinary common sense. For example, like in the Judeo-Christian Islamic traditions, for the most part, when we think of God, hear about God, it's about like the creator, the creator of the cosmos. We're not thinking so much about God stealing butter, wrestling with his friends. No, more like the creator of the cosmos and like that. So that's Supersoul. That's the conception of Supersoul. Now there's three categories of Supersoul. Let's call it the metacosmic Supersoul. That's the Mahavishnu, or the Karanadakashayi Vishnu, Supersoul of the entire material creation. Then call it the macrocosmic Supersoul. We need the Supersoul of this one universe. That would be Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And then the microcosmic Supersoul, Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, and Antarasta Parmano Chantarastam, Sarvasya Chaham, Vidisanidistu, the Supersoul in the heart of all living entities. That's Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. Okay. So generally speaking, at least in many traditions around humanity, God, like the creator, like that. So that's this conception, not what the Vedas describe as the Bhagavan conception, which is just like, no, he's doing his thing in his world. And through his expansion, and that's his mirth, through his expansion, he's directing things here. Okay. So that's like the whole Bhagavan conception, Krishna Goloka Vrindavan, or that sort of thing, Vaikuntha planets. That's not completely, but somewhat unique. It's somewhat unique to this Gaudiya Vaishnavism, like that. I mean, there's glimpses of it in other traditions, but it's like widely explained and quite expounded in quite some detail. Prabhupada would sometimes say, yes, we know God's address and the name of his girlfriend, and we like that. So much detail given. So this text is about the Supersoul and the mind and the connection. So as Prabhupada says in the purport, often makes thinking, feeling, willing are functions of the mind. So this gets into, we often quote Teilhard de Chardin, we're not human beings having a spiritual experience, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So part of the human experience, I'm experiencing seeing this, I'm experiencing hearing this, I'm experiencing thinking that. So sometimes like in consciousness studies or thought exercises, it's, we are like machines. So there's a truth to it, but that's very limited and incomplete. Because sure, there could be a machine, a computer or a machine that maybe when a red light is flashed, it would print out or speak, I see red, right? So a machine, computer, whatever, even a pre-computer machine, maybe even could apparently simulate the actions of thinking. But if it says or simulate the actions of seeing, I see red. But is it experiencing red? Whereas we experience red. And that's because we're that conscious entity. So the machine analogy is very incomplete. Okay, because like we think, okay, but like the Western philosopher Descartes, I think, therefore I am. So we're conscious of what we're thinking. We're conscious that we're engaged in thinking. So a computer can't do that. And that's a huge difference. That's a huge difference. Inexplicable by any sort of reductionist, mechanistic, deterministic approach to philosophy. So yeah, so we can be conscious of what we're hearing, conscious of what we're thinking. Now it's true to the extent that we associate with the lower modes of nature, then practically speaking, we are just like machines. To the extent that we associate with higher modes of nature, sattva, and of course, Shuddha sattva, transcendence, then that's spontaneity, that's life, that's life. That's consciousness awake to its purpose and itself. We're not just pulled and pushed. So it's described in Bhagavad Gita, like in our Bhagavad Gita course, we're in chapter 13. This text from Bhagavatam is very chapter 13 Bhagavad Gita. Upadadras Hanumanta Chabarta Bhakta Maheshwara Paramatmeti Chapyuta Desmin Pusham Pura. So Krishna describes in chapter 13 about the soul, the Kshetriya, the knower of the field of the body. He goes, and there's another knower who's the overseer and the permitter. Overseer, permitter, you could say facilitator. Okay, say facilitator. And facilitator. So, and the question always asked is, what do you want to get from this seminar? No, it is. That's the question constantly asked. Oh, what I get from this seminar? Good sex. I want fame. I want liberation. I want sincere devotion to the Supreme. That's the question always asked. What do you want to get from this seminar? Yeah. I want people to applaud me. I want to be the center. Yes. Okay. I want good health. Okay. I want to be powerful like a lion. That's a question always asked by the Supreme Facilitator. And then the Supreme Facilitator, Upajastra Mantra Bhakta Bhakta Meshwar Paramatmeti Chaptuk Desmi Purusham, will facilitate with me, because all of the energies are the super souls. So according to our desire, the Supreme Facilitator will facilitate through material energy or spiritual energy or some combination. Because for most of us, I got some spiritual desires, sort of, kind of, and a lot of this other stuff going on, tamasic. So the facilitator will facilitate according to material and spiritual energies. Okay. So at the same time, it is kind of like a neutral facilitation, but not completely, because the Supreme Facilitators also Yagatavasam Sarvalokameshwar Suridam Sarvabhutam Gyatramam Shanti Vichati. Suridam is also our best friend.
Surit.
Yes, Surit. There's different types of friend. Bandhu, Maitreya, Surit. So Surit, most intimate friend, like Surit, like heart, Reet, heart. Su is superior. So just like the most intimate part of the heart. And that's Supersoul. Right? Because, if we just do a little bit of personal growth stuff, and the idea is to not just live a chit-chat life. We want to get to the essence. So philosophically, if we're living according to the misconception, Prabhupada uses the word conditioning. And so conditioning, yeah. So conditioning means we accept as truth something that's not. So this is very external. It's like a very external illusion. Okay. Okay, so a little more closer to the essence. I am the mind. When Descartes, I think, therefore I am the under. I'm not the body. But he seems to be thinking he's the mind. Okay, but then, okay, we can get more and more layers. Okay, I'm a spirit soul. I'm a spirit soul. That really begins to get to the essence. But more to the essences. Because like this is the heart of the heart, the essence of the essence, the soul of the soul. That's this verse. That's the super soul. So cultivating our devotional connection with super soul, that's a deep life. That's a deep life. So yes. So he's the best. Super soul's the best, our best friend. So he's facilitating. But at the same time, he's also speaking to us friendly wisdom. And material life means like, I'm not going to hear you. But he's speaking to us like, give up this nonsense. Oh my God, you want to try material enjoyment in this form now? Now you want to try it in this form. Like, aren't you tired yet? Like you've done it like in trillions of lifetimes, in trillions of ways. But we're dedicated to ignore the voice. So he's always giving us good advice to distinguish reality from illusion. At the same time, it's like, okay, you want to try it in this species? Okay, go for it. And Super Soul will facilitate. So, yeah. And that's why, we focus so much on empathy. So empathy in its essence, that's super soul connection. Not talking just like in skill, there's a reflection, but in essence, because super soul's in the heart of all living entities, including human beings. At the beginning of chapter 13, Krishna says, So he says, yes, so there's two knowers in the body. The body is the kshetra, and kshetra jnana is the knower, the field and the knower of the field. So he said there's two knowers of the field. So there's the soul and the soul of the soul, the super soul, the Paramatma. So the Paramatma knows, well, it can be kind of embarrassing if I think about it, knows our every desire and nuance and thought and history and motivation. And he knows the good reasons why we do things, and he knows the real reasons why we do things. So he just knows everything. It's intimately connected in an open-hearted, friendly spirit. So to the extent that I'm connected with Super Soul, because, well, this Mother Nanda in her class 2 days ago, she talked about Vasudeva. Right? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Oh my Lord, Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, all-pervading personality of Godhead, also offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So Vasudev's name of Krishna means the all-pervading person. So the Super Soul in my heart, Super Soul, they're in a sense they're different expansions, but they're the same person. So I'm connected with Super Soul in my heart. Then I'm capable to be empathic with you and with all living entities. Yeah. So that's why we hear so much like in the presence of Prabhupada, like, oh, he could see everything. And at the same time, it wasn't like to exploit me. I can see you, so I can exploit you. But this is Super Soul. Pure devotees connect with Super Soul. Okay, with true compassion, like that. Knowledge with compassion. So, okay, so Super Soul facilitates, Paramatma facilitates, and facilitates, according to our desire, the spiritual material images. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam chajadanti klivam tontome bheti kontea. Sadhata bhava bhavita. So whatever consciousness we develop, within this life or at the change of body that's called death, Paramatma will get another body. Shariram Yanavatnoti Yachtat Yudkamanishram Gavitvatani Samyati Vayorgandan Ivashayat. That describes it as Krishna uses the analogy. As the air carries aromas, similarly we carry our conceptions life after life through the subtle body, through the mind. And Bhagavad Gita, and according to that consciousness, you get a particular type of nose, particular type of ear. It's very particular. It says here, when therefore the super soul is situated in the heart of the conditioned soul, the requisite mind is manifested. So we get a particular type of mind in the conditioned soul, and he becomes conscious of his occupation, as one is conscious of his duty after waking up from slumber. Yes. So we get on a particular type of machine made of the material energy. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam. Videsh Arjuna Tishtati. Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantravudani Mayaya. Krishna says, as super soul, he is situated in the hearts of all living entities who are wandering as on a machine made of the material energy. Going back to 6-7 years at Damayanti and Garuda's programs, we gave a class, Maya, the ultimate virtual reality. Right? Like in modern times, that's a particularly sophisticated type of machine, virtual reality. Right? It's the same concept as a movie. So the whole material creation with all the machines, we can say it's a virtual reality with like really amazing graphics, really unbelievable graphics. And just like a movie is really good if we just got absorbed in it, like for 3 hours in the movie, we just get absorbed. Wow, I was just like, there I was in Russia in 1840, or if it's a science fiction movie on this other planet, or there I was just completely in the character. Then that was good. I got to forget about my life and my problems. So conditioned life means we're believing the graphics. It means we're completely sold out believing the graphics, right? That I am this David Wolf character. We're just completely accepting the graphics. And then our life purpose becomes based on these false characters. This false character will succeed in this way. This virtual reality character will be the hero. Will be the hero in this way. Maybe the martyr. Maybe I'll make the prophet, or like that. And so we're believing the graphics in our life as a squirrel or a tree or a demigod or a human being in America or Europe, like that. I remember, some of you have heard me tell this. So yes, so it was in the early days, this is my pre-early days, pre-Bhakti days called, yes, in State College, Pennsylvania. And there was Stamba Prabhu, he had his Sunday feast. And then shortly after I started going there in 1980, he started the Friday program. And then he had his Tuesday cooking class on campus. That was my Gyata Sukriti, because I was chairman of the Penn State Free University. And so I was arranging for rooms with the university for all of these courses, like 150 courses per semester. That they were not university courses, called the Free University. And I was managing and arranging rooms. And the university was giving the Stamba and the devotees some problems about their cooking class. So I would have done it for any group. But so I intervened with the university, and that was, I get some credit. Again, I would have done it for anyone, but I helped the devotees distribute prashad. So I would, So it was Tuesday evenings, the cooking class on campus, and I would show up somehow. I would show up after the cooking lesson was complete and when they were serving the results of the cooking lesson. Of course, I wanted to learn how to cook, but I never got the timing right. I never got the timing right. And so it just went on like that for 3 years every Tuesday. And then once I was walking out, I was like helping carrying the pots or something. Yeah, he got me to do some service, like other than taking for sure. And I was talking because he was talking philosophy and how it's all a machine, it's all like just game. This is just like the game of material world, and my team won the game, and here it's the Gators, they were the Nittany Lions, and like that, or right, my family, so then so I remember I made a comment, I made a retort. I said, okay, well, what you're doing, this is Hare Krishna, that's just another game. Just another game. Me? Yeah, right. I thought I was very smart. Yeah, I feel understood. So then, so Stamba retorted quickly. He retorted, yes, but that's the real game. And that stayed with me. That stayed with me. So it's more than 40 years later. That's the real game. To cultivate and return to our original consciousness and to liberate ourselves from one virtual reality, from one machine after another, to liberate ourselves from conditioned life where we're buying into an illusion that's not real, to cultivate our real original consciousness, super soul connection, ultimately Krishna consciousness, and to revive our original love of God and Krishna consciousness and relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nityasita Krishna Prema Sajika Brunoi, Shravanadi Shudachite Kariyendai. Love of Krishna is eternally situated in the hearts of all living entities. It's not something artificial, right? Because like all of the other games, like whatever, I'm David Wolf from Philadelphia. This is an imposition. It's not something artificial to be gained from some external source. And that original love of Krishna, Prabhupada will often say, we naturally love the body. So naturally we love our body. Why? Because the soul's inside. Soul leaves, bury it, burn it, give it to fish. And Prabhupada said, and it's natural to love ourselves. Why? Because we're part and parcel of Krishna, the supreme lovable object. So someone said, yes, well, this Krishna consciousness, this is the real game. This is the real game. And to cultivate our original consciousness, our original loving devotional service to the heart of our heart, the supreme person who's at the foundation, the substratum of all existence. And so again, so the Paramatma Supersoul feature of the Supreme deals with conditioned souls in the material world. In one sense, Krishna has nothing to do with that, doing that through his representative, Supersoul. And Prabhupada makes it clear, you and I had a brief discussion last night, I just mentioned this aspect of Prabhupada's teachings. Because we can think, okay, well, Paramatma, Supersoul, okay, so I want realization of the four-arm form of Paramatma, something mystical, and that could be there. We're not mocking it. Prabhupada says, okay, a name for Supersoul is Chaitya Guru, means the Guru in the heart. And the Guru in the heart and the Guru external, like reading Bhagavatam, hearing lectures from Prabhupada, following Prabhupada's instructions to hear Bhagavatam, to chant Japa Hare Krishna. So they're non-different. And Chaitya Guru is the Guru in the heart. So they're non-different. So Prabhupada says that he says, dedication to the mission of the spiritual master is tantamount to realizing Chaitya Guru. In other words, what does Super Soul want? So to the extent that I'm enthusiastic to know and serve and follow the mission of my Guru, my current link to Srila Prabhupada's mission, then Prabhupada says that is Supersoul realization. I mean, that could be some more mystical vision of what's happening. I mean, that could be there, but Prabhupada emphasizes in a very grounded, practical way that to be determined, dritavrata, to with determination, dedicate ourselves to the mission of the spiritual master. That is Supersoul realization. Because that is the guidance of Super, and Prabhupada, and then that is tantamount to seeing the Supersoul. Yeah. Okay, so I'll read the verse again here. Text 30. Text 30, chapter 10, Canto 2, Srimad Bhagavatam. Nididhyasura mamayam vidayam nirapidyata tato manas chandrayiti sankalpa kama evacha. When there was a desire to think about the activities of his own energy, then the heart, the seat of the mind, the moon, determination in all desire became manifested. That's a point, okay, because the moon, so we can see in the English language, mind, moon, same root, like that. And right, so mind, clear, like someone's really mental. So someone's a lunatic, say Luna connected with the moon, like that. So so much here. Thank you. Thanks for your association. Questions or comments?
In astrology also, the moon is the change of the mind.
In where?
In astrology.
Astrology, yeah.
Is there a question I can?
Please, Mom.
I really appreciate your question about, what do we want to get from the seminar?
Yeah.
And it's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand it's seminar, there is a supreme facilitator.
Yeah.
And now what do I want to get out of the seminar? What truly I want to get? And so connected with that, there is that song, which is song Damodara Stakara. So I don't even want to know your feature of Paramatma.
Yeah, right.
So I appreciate your class because at least where I am at is I want to hear Paramatma.
Yeah.
I do want to hear guidance from Paramatma. I want to hear the will of Paramatma. And really now when I read Sherpa's books, almost everywhere, every page it says that's what we are supposed to do, to hear to do what Krishna wants, to follow the will of Krishna. So to hear the Paramatma. So it seems that I don't even want to know your feature of Paramatma is really elevated, and at the same time, why really devotee wants that? Because it seems that the feature of Paramatma is such intimate relationship.
Yeah.
Like I was sharing on my Mother Nanda's class, whatever tinge, like moment of contact with Paramatma feels so deeply intimate and satisfying and fulfilling. And so while devotee will not want that, it's one of my questions. And also, developing, to me, it seems that developing that aspect of feeling loved by Krishna.
Yeah.
I found it's difficult to love Krishna.
Yeah.
But I feel it easier to feel loved by Krishna.
Yeah.
And is that, that it seems to be a platform for developing love. If I feel loved by someone, then naturally I will develop my own love for that person.
Yeah.
So it seems that it will lead to love of Krishna and then Bhagavan realization naturally. Mixed up thoughts, train of thoughts and questions.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you. Yeah, so this, Sri Damodarastakam, which we're encouraged to sing, especially this time of year. It's always a transcendental song given to us by Satyavrata Muni. And I think it's the same Satyavrata Muni as discussed in the 9th canto of Bhagavatam. Yeah, so that's very elevated. So of course we want to connect with Paramatma. So much of Bhagavad Gita is about that. 18th chapter, Krishna says, Machita sarvadorgani, mat prasada tarishyasi, atachat vama hankaram, nashoshasi dinanshasi. Krishna says, if you listen to Supersoul in the heart, you easily cross over the ocean of material existence. But listen to false ego, then you'll be more and more drowning in the ocean, entangled, whatever metaphor we want to use. And so much of Bhakti Yoga is about getting finer and finer in our differentiation, our capacity to make distinctions. What's the voice of the material mind? What's the voice of false ego? What's the voice of condition? What's the voice of Supersoul? And the voice of Supersoul is Bhagavatam. It is Bhagavad Gita. It's every vibration from Srila Prabhupada. So the more we absorb there, then the more we clear our heart and mind, we clear the static, and we hear Supersoul from within. That's why if we're thinking we're hearing Supersoul from within, it's generally encouraged. Check with Srila Prabhupada. Check if there's confirmation, because conditioned life means my mind and false ego will tell me so many things. And of course, it's God within the heart. What else could it be? My mind has never misled me. Okay. So, yeah, so this Damodarashtakam, I mean, that's a very high platform. That's Bhagavan realization. So someone truly living in absorption in Mother Yashoda and Srimati Radharani and Damodar, right? So then he said, yeah, I don't want material pleasures. I don't even want heavenly material pleasures. Muktir Svayam Mukulitanjali Seva Tesman. That's a verse from Dula Mangala Thakur saying, I have no interest in liberation. Liberation is like a maidservant standing at the doorstep of the devotee. How can I serve you? Whereas other yogis, jnanis, pantastukoti satavatsara sampakam yovayor tapi manasa muni pungavanam sopyastiyat prapadasimnya vichitya tattve govindamadi pusham tamam bhajami. Describes in Brahma Samhita that yogis and jnanis might meditate or do breathing exercises for millions of lifetimes. And if they're successful, maybe they'll catch a ray emanating from the toenails of Krishna, maybe if they're successful. Right? Which means like the cowherd boys, Mother Yashoda are just infinitely beyond that. And that's not to minimize the spiritual achievements of those who are meditating for millions of lifetimes. So just like, the cowherd boys, the gopis in Vrindavan, the trees in Vrindavan, kind of like, look, Krishna is actually the Paramatma in the heart of all conditioned souls and is the source of the Mahatattva and all the 24 elements of material creation. So like, this is just bothering me. I don't really care. Right now we need to prepare Krishna's lunch and we need to beat him in this race. And, just like, that's all like a disturbance. From our platform, yeah, let's connect with Supersoul. So it's a matter of platform.
Yeah. And one platform leads to the next.
Yeah. Yes. Supersoul realization leads to Bhagavan realization. And we have, we're encouraged to directly cultivate Bhagavan realization, which includes Supersoul realization. And we're encouraged to cultivate Supersoul realization, which leads to a deeper, more intimate relation with Bhagavan. Damayanti, you had a comment?
Hare Krishna. You answered it at the end because I was thinking Paramatma has to do with material existence, right? And so someone who's a pure devotee, well, I was curious who Satya Vrat.
Yeah.
Was this the person who wrote the song, Sri Damodarastakam? I was curious who that was. Apparently, this person is a pure devotee.
Definitely, yeah. Like the revealer of Damodar Astakam is a very high level pure devotee. There's a Satyavrata in the 9th canto connected with Matsya Avatar, and it's a pastime that can remind one of Noah's Ark. I'm assuming it's the same. So I'm assuming that, I don't have direct reference from Prabhupada. So Satyavrata Muni is described in some far out pastimes in the 8th and 9th canto, end of 8th canto and beginning of 9th canto, connected with the Meena avatar of Krishna. So yeah, this is very, very pure devotee. Yeah, very, very elevated bhajan.
What does the word Muni mean?
With Muni? That's an interesting question connected with this verse, because we have the same root there as mana or mind or moon. So a Muni means one who's very active with their mind. A Muni is a thinker, a philosopher. Now there could be Munis like Charvaka Muni. There could be Munis who aren't necessarily devotional philosophers, right? So yeah, it's described like to be a Muni, you need to come up with some new and different philosophy. So it means, in other words, like someone might have like very strong philosophical intellect, and so they're a Muni. Now something like Satyavrata Muni or Narada Muni, they're Munis who are also pure devotees. Not all Munis are pure devotees.
And I had one more comment. Thank you. Yeah, I was wondering if Muni had something to do with the mind.
Yeah.
That's fun. Whenever I am endeavoring to like connect with Paramatma, I don't really think of it as located inside I don't think of Krishna as like located in my heart. I think of Krishna, I guess, more in like the general God sense, but with the name. I'm just like, okay, God, like outside of me, help me looking up, and then the God has a name, Krishna. I'm not thinking about Krishna and Vrindavan, and I'm not thinking of Paramatma.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all okay? Just kind of that general looking upward way of relating. I'm sure it's okay.
It's definitely okay. And I think it relates to what I used the terminology earlier in the class, you think in terms of the metacosmic or macrocosmic supersoul, which is it's maybe the conception of God that many of us grew up with. Maybe we accepted, maybe we rejected because it was simplistic or whatever. But the idea of God creates the universe and God like that, and manages things like that. So again, so you're kind of thinking, yeah, in that terms, and so it's a form of God consciousness. It's a form of supersoul God consciousness. Not so much supersoul as in Kshiradakashayi Vishnu within the heart, but like the supersoul of this universe, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, or the supersoul of the whole material creation, Mahavishnu.
But even though I'm having that concept, super soul in the heart still like accepts that and speaks through that consciousness. It's like, and that's one question, is it like it still works, I guess, that Paramatma communicates to me, even though my concept is, well, I don't know, maybe not the most elevated. But and then the other question is, are other devotees, like, are you all, or are you praying into the heart, like when you're praying? Is that like a common thing to be thinking of that location when praying?
Okay, yes, Chris. Well, my sense from what you described, Damayanti, is you definitely get transcendental credit for thinking of, praying of, kind of like, of like God as creator. That's a form of supersoul. It's definitely Krishna. It's a form of Krishna consciousness. And probably when I'm those rare times I'm in a prayerful spirit, I would say for me, the main person is probably Prabhupada. But sometimes, like, you know, if I hear Jaya Radha Madhava, right? So then, oh, okay, yeah. Krishna Vrindavan, Yamuna Tira, Banachari, wandering in on the banks of Yamuna in the forest. So, you know, sometimes my mind will go there in a prayerful spirit. Thank you, Damayanti. Yeah.
I have a question comment following on what Damayanti shared, because Kshirodakashayi Vishnu is also outside.
Yeah.
Is on the ocean of milk, and
Yeah.
we see when there is problem, when any problem happen on earth,
Yeah.
always the demigods, they go to Vishnu as Kshirodakashayi Vishnu on the shores
Yes.
of Milk Ocean. So they pray to Vishnu, in a sense, they pray to Kshirodakashayi Vishnu within the heart,
Yeah.
but they pray to him outside of the heart on the shore of the Milk Ocean.
Yeah.
So it seems, it seems that when we pray to God, that's probably that form,
Yeah.
that's Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, the same way that Brahma pray to him, or like also the demigod goes there.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Krishna is in our heart, and then it's so intimate, he's so intimately connected with us. And then in the response comes from within, usually very rarely from outside, like Lord Brahma received an order, okay, I'm going to descend, all the demigods, please go down and take birth in the Yadu dynasty. So that we may not hear God in that way. And so we do hear the Supersoul from within the heart, and we may pray to him from without the heart, because he's both. Ito Nishino, Barato Nishino, Yato Yato, Yami, Tato Nishino. Yeah.
Nice references.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the Nrsimha mantras.
Yeah.
And then thanks for that. Kshirodakashayi Vishnu has his planet in this universe and in each universe. And that's why, so all of these super souls, meta, macro, and micro, they all come from Vasudeva. The chapter Vyuha, it's a little complicated, but they're not even directly coming from Krishna. It's many expansions of expansions. They're coming from Vasudeva, and Vasudeva means the all-pervading person. So and from a material conception, we're not going to get that. You're a person, you're there. You're a person, you're there. You're not there. I'm here, I'm not there. So what all-pervading means, it's like the white light, the impersonal white light. No, I mean, there is the impersonal light, but all-pervading, fully existing as a person in every atom, in the heart of every living entity, and on Sveta Dvip planet, and like that. So internal and external, nice reference. Thank you, Melanie. Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions or realizations? Vishnu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the class. I remember when you were comparing, like, that you were saying, like, people don't think God is like stealing butter.
Right.
I was thinking somebody also said that people don't realize God is a teenager with superpowers.
Okay. Yeah. A teenager with superpowers. Yeah, that describes it well. Generally, that's not the general conception. Thanks for that. Teenager with superpowers. So I expect I'll borrow that from you. You borrowed it from someone, so I'm borrowing it from you. Thank you, Vishnu. I like it.
So I don't know how much it's related to, but just the thought that was pondering in my head is, I might be mistaken. I remember something about that the super soul is in the heart, but he's also in every atom.
Yeah.
So then I'm just thinking, it's like, okay, so I've got my body, this physical thingy, and then this verse is saying, okay, about how the super soul is in our heart.
Yeah.
But then I also know that he's in every
Yeah.
atom and every, so there's millions of them
Yeah.
in me at
Yeah.
the same time.
That's true.
So I was just wondering about the relationship between, because you're talking about empathy, like when I'm
Yeah.
connected more with Supersoul and me, to whatever degree, then I'm able to have more empathy and connection with somebody else as they connect.
Yeah.
So it's like so that's an external relationship. So then I'm just pondering on the internal relationship between this Supersoul and then millions of other ones in here too. So
Thanks for that. Thanks for that. Well, that kind of deconstructs and goes deeper. And thanks for that, Shama Priya. So the Supersoul in every, I don't know how many atoms are in a body, trillions of trillions, whatever it is. So there's a Paramatma. And every living soul, there's a Jiva soul in every living soul, right? So just to make it a little simple, we talk about in that body, there's one soul and one super soul, but that is rather simplistic. But if we go, actually, there are hundreds of quadrillions. Who am I talking to then? Which Paramatma am I even praying to? Am I trying to connect with? So that's all too. That's all true. And then, and I guess my basic response to is like, how's that all related? Well, it's synergistic. So that so the super soul that's accompanying us in the heart of our heart is the facilitator, overseer and facilitator of all material and spiritual energies, and coordinating with all the material energy that makes up this body, and coordinating with all those other trillions of paramatmas and jivas, including the jivas of the worms in the intestines and the bacteria and like that. It's a synergistic co-creation, and in a sense, and we're the source of it all, according to our desire. It's synergistic, because there's some parasite in our intestines and some bacteria here like that, and that's a spirit soul, and there they are in perfect and complete arrangement, facilitated by the super soul in their heart on the body of this body called David Wolf. So
Attack him.
support him, encourage him, like that, and sometimes attack and like that. So it's a synergistic arrangement that synthesizes, the super soul synthesizes the interplay of all the desires of the jiva souls in this one body. Fascinating. Yeah.
So thank you. Because leading from that, then the two thoughts that pop into my head is, one is just, I don't remember which tradition it's from, but it's like where God says, I'm closer to you than your own breath.
Mm.
So then it's like, so there's the soul, and then there's the super soul.
Yeah.
In the heart, and then in every atom.
Yeah.
So that was like, okay, and then that's that closeness of it's so close. And then the other thought that comes is that then, well, then how, like, therefore it's like I can think it's like, okay, well, I'm being forgetful because there's only one voice inside that I'm ignoring.
Yeah.
Whereas in reality, I'm ignoring trillions of voices inside. So aren't we lucky that we get so many opportunities to hear the super soul's voice? So then I am even more ignorant when I don't hear it. Like, it's easier to say, like, well, there's one person knocking on my door, and it's like I ignore them. But then if there's trillions of them knocking on my door and I'm ignoring all of them, then that's a little bit like, oops. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty obstinate here.
Yeah.
Pretty stubborn.
Yeah.
Thanks for that perspective, Shama Priya. Yeah, I've heard that. I think maybe in Christian tradition, nearer than your own breath. And that there's a verse in Ishopanishad, so it's about how, I would say Ishopanishad's the book where Prabhupada least directly talks about Krishna. He tends to talk about the Brahma-Jyoti, Paramatma, and describes that God, the Supreme, is very near, yet very far away.
Mhm.
And it relates to this discussion in so many ways, because in a sense, God is nearer than ourselves, because he's the heart of our heart. And at the same time, they're on Satan Deep, they're in Goloka Vrindavan, so near, so far away. And we're just, we're determined to ignore. That's material life. We're determined to ignore and reject. And Krishna, directly through Paramatma, through Srila Prabhupada, through Bhagavatam, Krishna is wanting our highest welfare, wanting our bliss like 1 trillion times more than we want, but he's not forcing. He's not knocking at our door in so many ways. Yeah. And so this very near, we mentioned this also on Friday, in this class, that because sometimes we think, oh, I'm disconnected from God, disconnected from Krishna. And we can easily say that, but Prabhupada says, no, you're not disconnected. You're connected, right? It's like, we're always connected with Supersoul. Prabhupada says, but you've forgotten that you're connected. You're asleep or worse, pretending to be asleep. If someone's asleep, if I'm asleep, you can wake me up. If I'm pretending to be asleep.
Yeah. So then you mentioned the word determined, but I'm determined to be ignorant. I'm determined to pretend to be asleep.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, most of the time.
Yes.
And then in that verse, with the heart and the mind, there was the word determination.
Yeah.
So it's just like, so just tying back to, so as the heart, the mind was manifest, part of that is determination. So then
Yes.
we use a determination for.
That's it.
Yeah, so use a determination for hearing Supersoul, since he's the heart of the heart, or for pretending to be asleep.
I like your exposition there. Yeah. So determination's there. It's intrinsic, and do we direct it or use it in a way that's tamasic, rajasic, sattvic, or transcendental? Thank you. Hare Krishna. I see something on chat. Okay. So, okay. Damayanti wrote, why would Krishna expand into every atom? What if he didn't do that? What would be the consequence? All right. Well, this is, for me, it's like Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. I mean, like he's really caring about the material creation, that we use it for liberation. We use it to return to ourselves. So he's just like, that's one response that comes to me. And Paramatma wrote, Dear Govind, you mentioned the response to Damayanti's question that Garbhodaksha Vishnu fit the description of which she was describing, and Malini mentioned that Kshirodaksha Vishnu could fit that description. Could you say a bit more about the relationship? I guess I didn't get the pronoun so clear there. Garbhodaksha Vishnu, or Mahavishnu, a theme here was, that's kind of the ordinary conception of God in the Judaic, Christian, Islamic type tradition. Creator, connect with the universe, and the idea of God having a whole separate existence, stealing butter, that sort of thing. That's, that's very intimate. That's Bhagavan realization. Okay. Malini mentioned that Kshirodaksha Vishnu could fit that. Okay, yeah, because Malini mentioned that Kshirodaksha Vishnu, yeah, that's the Paramatma in the heart. But also Kshirodaksha, he has a spiritual planet within the material sphere. He's got his own pastimes there, and we hear about some of them sometimes. Okay, so Paramatma writes, could you say a bit more about the relationship between those two Vishnu forms in the context forms of what Damayanti was describing, general God in the sky, God of this universe, Heavenly Father, maybe Judeo-Christian conception. Okay. Yes. Yes. Well, this verse, I mean, like, for me, this relates to like the whole material creation is like, it might be hard to realize it, but it's like, it's really an expression of like Krishna wanting us back. It's making all these arrangements. And yeah, and so there's all these conceptions we read in second canto, third canto for God in nature. And we hear about God creator, right? Yes, yeah. That actually, in one part, Prabhupada says Allah is Parabrahman, because when Prabhupada was in Iran very much, he equated Allah to the Vedic conception of Parabrahman. And so Krishna expands as one form of Vishnu to create the universe, to support us, to transform our material desire, to use material energy for liberation. That's ultimately what our material senses, material body are meant for. And then simultaneously expands into our heart, to give us guidance, what's matter, what's spirit. And so whether we're appreciating the creator or God in the heart, like Krishna is happy when we do that. And when we're determined to stay in ignorance, then it's described, we're actually torturing the super soul in the heart. We're just like parents always love the children, but the children can do things that cause the parents a lot of pain. So that's what some realization, right? It's different forms of Krishna to support us, to make this our last birth in the material creation. It's described that there's a form of Krishna called Anantadev. And when it's time to wind up the universe through Lord Shiva, Anantadev and Shiva, they get really angry. And their anger is because all these trillions, more than trillions, living entities, they messed up again.
They missed the boat.
They missed the boat. They didn't use their material forms for liberation. And they're just like really angry about that. Still out of compassion when it's time for creation again. Come on, we're really encouraging you. So whether God is the creator, God in the heart, it's all Krishna's mercy imploring us, like, act intelligently, act for your own good, stop self-sabotaging, causing yourself torture. Thank you, Paramatma. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you.